Well, I think we have a small but intimate audience here today. So, Rowan, welcome. You're Rowan Childs. You're the founder and co-executive director of the Madison Reading Project, and you're going to present to us this afternoon for the Dane County Cities and Villages Association. So, welcome, Rowan. Go ahead.
Thank you. I see Nick's comment. Let me share my screen. See if I can. One sec. There we go. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Great. Okay. And Nick can hopefully not heckle me too much as he's promised. So, okay. All right. That's me. Um, as you mentioned, Bob, thank you, and Anne. I'm the founder and co-executive director now, and Madison Reading Project just turned 10 years old. We're a nonprofit, and our mission has been pretty much about the same from the very beginning, which is to provide free new books to children at no cost to them that they ideally get to pick out themselves, that really can affirm and convey joy to them, and give them some excitement in that engagement, and also in that engagement because they also get to keep the books. So we're really hoping through our mission to have children acquire more books of their own to keep, and also to increase their literacy skills as well. We provide books and all kinds of resources to children 0 to 18. We provide all kinds of support to the adults who help children read or who work with children. So if you think about any parent, grandparent, caregiver, after school support, in schools, social workers, kind of you name it. Anyone can reach out to us or access our resources, librarians, whether that's at a library or at a school. We have all kinds of things available on our website. We'll talk to anybody. And our team is made up of full-time and part-time staff. So there's a whole team behind me. It's not just me anymore. We started with all volunteer, and slowly over time, I've been able to build up a whole crew of professional staff from literacy experts, programming experts, development experts as well, so that we can continue to increase the impact. There's an absolute need out there, and all kinds of volunteers as well as we continue to see the gap, and the absolute need in the disparity of literacy rates that are there. And to give you an idea of the work that we're doing, this is last year's impact. We provided 123,000 books at no cost. We worked with over 200 different organizations that includes individual schools, and 120,000 children received books, and multiple, probably hundreds of bus visits and all kinds of literacy events. The reason why we're doing all of these things, sort of thinking about why would we even do this, is really sort of getting back to the idea that literacy is a human right. And I was thinking of who I'm presenting to today and thinking about probably at any of your positions, or thinking at your offices, any of your job descriptions, probably all of them, no matter which one they are, you probably have to be able to read, no matter what position you have available. You need people to be able to read directions, to read signage. You need every adult potentially to be able to drive to work, to drive machinery, to drive to an appointment. Everything is necessary to read. And the Race to Equity report that came out exactly 10 years ago is what really prompted me as that final piece to act. was the discrepancy of literacy rates, um, the rates of poverty, and also the rates of incarceration. And it was heartbreaking because you can see the poverty rates, who was graduating from high school, who was going to jail. And you think about the amount of money that you put into education, the amount of money we spend in incarceration. Um, and it's unfortunately can be a direct pipeline. So I wanted to be part of that, part of trying to act and do something different. So we're part of the puzzle. We're not the end all be all, and we support adults who support kids. Um, and I'll let you know sort of how we all do that. So here's I'll go through a little bit of our programs. The first one is called Books for Educators, and I'll go through that in detail at a later slide and explain that to you because it's available for any teacher in Dane County. We provide 25 new books to public school educators, and they get to select those books themselves at our book center. As you can imagine, that program is extremely popular, and teachers are super excited for a free shopping spree. Our early literacy work is really important, obviously, trying to inspire the youngest readers and also the parents and caregivers. So we're really working with parents, grandparents, social workers, caseworkers to provide appropriate reading material in English or Spanish, and also reading tips for that go home as well for parents, really trying to encourage reading at home in any language and support the adults to read to kids at home and to grow their home collection of books because that's where it all starts. And we also offer and run the Dolly Parton Imagination Program, which I will also go through in detail. Our other program is called Bookmarked, and that's school age literacy for elementary, middle, and high school. So we partner with many different schools of any age or size. That can be out of school programs as well, neighborhood centers. We can do anything from a book bus visit. We also do programming and join a variety of school-based events as well. And we also have started a new program within that called Free Book Fairs, which is exactly what it sounds like. Very similar to Scholastic book fairs, but taking away the financial piece of it. We've started with free book fairs now at Madison, Sun Prairie, and Verona, targeting working with their superintendents to go to the schools that need that the most. And it's really joyful. So we go to each school and we work through every single class, and each child gets to pick their own book. It's super exciting. We set it up just like a Scholastic book fair. Every child gets to pick their own book, and there's a lot of excitement and pride in that. Every child, we give them a sticker to put their own name in it, which they're excited even to just do that, and especially we want them to write their name in their book because every child at school has a book that day and we don't want them to get mixed up. But it's all about creating excitement around books and reading, and we see kids all over the place that day, or teachers report back how excited they are at school, or parents report back about how excited they were to read their books from the book fair or a bus visit or anything else like that. And that's what we're all about. Some of our other programs, community collaborations. Some of this really comes from a variety of our other smaller programs. So anything from our holiday giving, which is what I was just finishing up this morning. We give a ton of books to lots of holiday giving partnerships. We have a big partnership with Empty Stocking Club, Salvation Army, St. Vincent's, Toys for Tots, kind of you name it. So working ahead on which programs and organizations are going to need new books, and making sure that we have all of the books and types of books that they're going to need well in advance. So those are some of the things we do during the holidays, or if teachers or social workers need books for children over winter break, if they know that they don't have a lot of books at home or a way to keep them occupied. The Little Free Library program, you may be familiar with a Little Free Library, which is the boxes that have books in them. We steward over 35 Little Free Libraries in low-income neighborhoods with our volunteers. And we also provide free books for anyone, specifically children's books. So if you do have Little Free Libraries in your towns or cities, and you would like children's books, anyone can make an appointment to pick up some Little Free Library books. And we also place Little Free Libraries in coordination at community sites. It could be at another nonprofit. It could be a neighborhood community site. But we also place those for free. And that usually takes a couple of months, depending on who owns the land, placement, etc. But we have someone on staff that's really great at that. And then finally, our Big Red Reading Bus. We have very excited about that. We have two of those. We have our original one, which is now the little one, that we launched 5 years ago. And that was designed specifically so that we could go where the children are instead of the children and their families having to come to us. And that was really exciting, and I think sort of really gave us the mobility to go to an apartment complex, to go to an event where someone was having a literacy event or a family party or a picnic. We can drive it through the grass at a park. And it really was extremely helpful even during COVID. We could drive it anywhere. We could drop off books to any organization. We even did some home deliveries. It was really amazing to have that vehicle and have it wrapped in a specific style that children knew no matter what language they are, they knew that that bus was exactly for them. And then this spring, we launched our second book bus that is ADA accessible and is the first free book bus that is ADA accessible in the US, which is really great. So now we're able to accommodate any child or adult in a wheelchair or a parent with a stroller or anybody with mobility issues. We've been able to take it out, for instance, to the Miracle League baseball field in coordination with them, and have all of their players be able to board the bus individually and pick out books. There's a picture on the screen down on State Street. We had all kinds of parents during Halloween be able to board the bus with strollers. It's really a nice way for people to be able to board the bus and pick out their free books. And then finally, I mentioned some of the city and government collaborations that we've had and are doing. Collaborations are definitely something that we do all the time, and that's something that's really important to us. We do a lot of listening. We don't want to offer the exact same thing to everybody because that's not what everybody needs. So we spend a lot of time asking questions and listening so that we don't just provide the standard, and we really want to provide the best something that each person or each organization needs. So working with any library, a Head Start program, caseworkers, kind of you name it. We work with the City of Madison in the summer and several other public parks programs to bring the book buses out and provide a fun atmosphere with other mobile providers, or in collaboration with maybe a movie night, and we can provide some fun books that coordinate with that movie. It's all about creating some fun for kids and parents. Books for educators, for instance, obviously, is specific to public schools. And then we also work with a variety of cities. So the City of Madison, we work in partnership with the Madison Public Library. City of Fitchburg, we receive some grant money to specifically expand diverse book access in their neighborhood schools. And we also receive Dane County money to access early literacy materials as well. So just slowly over time, we have been able to expand some of the funds in addition to grant money and individual donations as we've grown over time to a much bigger budget than what we started with. So one of the things I specifically wanted to share with you, because this is available specifically for Dane County, this program, you probably recognize the lady on the right as Dolly Parton, and her program is called Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. You may have heard of it. And I want to make sure that you're able to share this information with your residents, with your library, or at your village hall, or anywhere else where really adults go or where children congregate. The program is provided by the Dolly Parton Foundation and by our sponsor, Roots and Wings, so that we can give each child in Dane County under the age of 5 a free book that's mailed to them every month, which is amazing. And children, they look forward to getting the mail versus adults. It takes about 6 weeks once the child has been signed up, and then every month from thereafter, they receive a free book. It's really amazing. Like I mentioned, we'd love for everyone to help spread the word. There's all kinds of PDFs and links and things like that that we will email out to people so that you can do that. Also, there's all kinds of information on our website as well. We started 3 years ago, and we have around 12,000 children in Dane County that receive a monthly book now. And it's really easy to sign up. You just need a name, their birth date, and a approved address by the postal system. So if a resident does not have an approved postal address, they are not able to do the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And if you have someone like that, I can talk to you, or they can email us, and we do have a second option for them. But it is an amazing program. We do have a specific employee that only works with that program. She's happy to come out to libraries or different events to help sign people up or to share information. It's an amazing program and project. Currently, we've got 2 more years in funding, and we are hoping to renew that for another 5 years. So that's the Dolly Parton Imagination Program. And then the Books for Educators program, I also wanted to make sure you also had a lot of information on for your school districts. This is the one that any public school teacher can sign up for. No matter where they are on the list, there is a waiting list to be on the program because we can't serve 1,000 teachers in one day. We do try to get through the list throughout the school year. So it started with 100 teachers with 20 books, and through a variety of grants, we've been able to increase that to 1,000 teachers per school year, which is amazing. When they sign up, they can also sign up for our educators newsletter. It has all kinds of tips and tricks, local resources, additional ways to get new books through us, and teachers open that newsletter at an extremely high open rate, so we do know that they find it extremely useful. And anyone can have that newsletter no matter where they live. And if you can imagine getting a free shopping spree, the teachers are so excited to be able to pick their own books. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out what teachers want. They know their kids the best as far as who's in their classroom, what they're teaching, and to have the opportunity to have new books that they don't have to spend money on themselves is priceless, literally. So we get a lot of feedback in person from teachers, what's happening at school, what's not happening, what do they need, how can we support them. We also have some school supplies and additional free books, which we call our freebie area that they're welcome to take. So some teachers leave with 25. Some teachers might take their new 25 specific books and they might take 75 other books. They might leave with 100. But we definitely have some very fond educators who love us, and we love working with them and trying to give them the best opportunity to support children. And then finally, sort of like how to engage with us, how to participate. We always say reach out, message us either through the website or email us directly. If you're curious or you want to find out how to partner with us, definitely, reach out to us, because there's so many different ways to get involved, whether it's a one-time opportunity or something that's ongoing. We love to collaborate and come up with something creative to make it fun in your community in Dane County. So I'm sure Anne will share our contact information, and I'm also happy to answer any questions as well.
Well, thank you, Rowan. That was really interesting. I have a couple questions.
Yeah,
How do you get your funding to do all these amazing things?
I work really hard. Just kidding. Our budget over time has grown significantly. Our budget now is over $1 million. So I do have, at this point, we just hired our third, we have 3 people now in development. But it's a variety of grants, individual donations, foundations. Um, Over the years, we have had some state and we've had one federal grant. But it's a lot of work.
Sounds like it.
Yes.
You had mentioned, if I heard this correctly, that you've been doing this, you started this about 10 years ago.
hmm
And if you can paraphrase again why you started it, and then also
hmm
comment about what impact did the pandemic have on your
Yeah.
teaching.
So I had the idea 11 years ago. So I thought I did all the right things at home. Do you want me to stop sharing?
Sure, that would be good.
Sure. Let me see or can you take me off share? That might be easier. How's that?
That's much better. Thank you.
Great. So 11 years ago, I thought I did the right things, and we had books at home and we read with our kids. And my son was in first grade, and my son's teacher called me and said that my son was behind in reading. And I was really surprised. So I asked him, and he said, the books are really boring. I don't want to do them. I'd rather be outside at recess, which isn't abnormal for a first grade boy. But that I knew that he also needed to be able to read. So I spent some time trying to figure out what he actually wanted to read. No matter what he was reading at school, just trying to re-engage him and find some enjoyment. And after spending about a month or two doing that and saying, you do have to read the books at school, but at least when you're at home, you can read these other things that you like reading, and it all counts. Um, and it kind of bothered me because I was like, what if I didn't understand the teacher? What if they hadn't called me? What if I didn't have the time or resources? Then what? Like you would always be behind. Maybe you, obviously, maybe you'd still get through school, at least till middle school, maybe high school. It just gets harder and harder to get through high school. Maybe you graduate, but then you're always behind. And your job opportunities, it's even hard to get a driver's license if you can't read.
Mhm.
It's an extremely hard life if you can't read very well. And it just bothered me, I guess. My parents, as a background, my mom was a social worker, and my dad had started a nonprofit at that point about 12 years prior. So I did have some familiarity. I didn't think I was going to start a nonprofit, but I at least had some ideas. I'd also had worked at a startup for a year and had some ideas about that, but I just had this idea. Um, and finally, when the Race to Equity report came out, that was sort of like the final piece to it, I think. Um, and all in a week between the Race to Equity report and meeting the right pilot program partner, which is at Salvation Army on Darbo Drive. Um, the community center was trying to re-engage kids in reading because they were behind. So it was sort of this perfect timing of everything. That was the very first sort of go at it. And we did 3 months of a pilot program. It went really well. They asked me back for another 3 months. And during that time, people just dropped off books unsolicited at my house. Every time I came out of the house, there was another box of books. When I came out of work, there'd be a box of books next to my car, or the receptionist would say, someone stopped over and said you needed books. But I never told anyone to give me books. So, and then people started asking if they could give me money because they saw what I was doing. So I'm like, interesting. So people want to give books to children that they've been keeping that are nice. There's absolute need for kids to have new, nice books because they're excited to have nice books, not used, old, tattered books that have been in people's basement or at the Salvation Army's bookshelf for probably 20 years. Um, and people apparently want to give me money to help run this thing. I think I have something here, and kept looking at it. And finally, I guess it was exactly that October, nearly a whole year after doing this pilot program and idea, I filed the paperwork to become a nonprofit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the pandemic, how did that impact everything?
Yeah. So at that time, I think we had 4 or 5 part-time employees. We had a much smaller office, and we were already about to move to a bigger space. So that was convenient because if we would have followed the rules, we would have only been able to have 2 employees in our office. Um, at that time, we also took donated lightly used books, and we had new books. And similar to libraries, we didn't know how COVID was being spread. So you may remember libraries at one point were um, taking books in and then holding them in a room. And so we just said, we're not taking any used books. We're only giving out new books. But in order to do that, initially, we nearly gave out all of the books that were in our book center. And that immediate, when they said schools are closing, we acted immediately and nearly gave out all of the books that were in our book center to schools that had a high need. And then we fundraised in social media and through our newsletter and said, we're only going to give new books out for the next month or two. And we changed the way we did everything. So we said, the goal was always to get to new books only. So we just skipped from like 40% new, 60% used, and just said, stop. We're only giving out new. However COVID is, that's what we're doing. And luckily, with our fundraising and our storytelling, we were able to do that very successfully. So we actually grew nearly twice nearly triple, we tripled the size of our organization during COVID. It was obviously very hard, but because people saw what we were doing and we were using the money for exactly what we said we were going to do, um, our organization grew. We had a mobile vehicle, which was extremely helpful because some other organizations started fundraising for a vehicle for them to become mobile. We already had one. So we could instantly go and drop off boxes of books at food pantries and at schools where parents were congregating to pick up food, for instance. Um, so we were very successful at changing our fundraising and method of COVID during COVID.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Let's open up for other questions or comments. You can just unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, I'm not hearing any. Rowan, I want to thank you for being here today. You know, most of us take reading for granted. We grew up with it. We were accessible to books. But as leaders of our municipalities, sometimes we take that for granted. And when we're interviewing people for jobs or, committee assignments, sometimes that shows that people don't have those skills that they need to really be successful in life. So I applaud you for taking this on and, making a difference in sounds like thousands of people's lives. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And to everyone that's on, or so I recognize some of the names there, but we're really trying to reach out to all of the different municipalities outside of Madison. Thank you, Paul. Outside of Madison too, because there have been a couple times where people didn't understand that they could participate in our programs because of our name, because it's Madison Reading Project, but we do cover the entire county. So we are looking at some marketing options this year to make sure that people understand that. We really cover sort of greater Dane County area. We do have some places that we do help right outside the county. But that's something we really want to make sure that every municipality understands that.
Okay. Any last questions or comments from the group?
Sorry, Ron, I will distribute um, whatever links you want to send me, um,
Great.
as well as this recording and your contact information. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you to schedule something to come into their community, hopefully they will do that quite soon.
Thank you, Anne.
Paul, did you have a comment? I see you unmuted yourself for a minute.
I did. I was just going to say that I did a tour of Rowan's office warehouse distribution center last summer, and I was very impressed with the program and what they're doing. The people I got to meet there was very interesting, and your presentation today, Rowan, was very interesting. Your passion is clear, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, we love giving tours. We always are happy to show off our book center. We are always excited about books. So we are a bunch of book nerds, but everybody who's comes to the book center, I think, is always amazed at the book quality that we present in the book center. And also, I would say, everyone usually finds a book that they know that they either knew from their childhood or that they've read to their own kids or their grandkids, or a book, for instance, that they wish they would have had when they were a kid, because there's just so many fun books out there right now as well. And we stock books in English, Spanish, and Hmong all year round, because those are books that are highly requested all year round. And we do offer books in other languages too, but we usually special order those because we just don't know who's going to request what. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Well, thanks again, Ron. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.